All right, we'll get going. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Business Uncensored. This is where we have an uncensored look at business. We're going to talk about things that maybe normally wouldn't come up here in business. I mean, we're going to talk about some things that are, but one of the big things that happen and gets people to where they're going is networking. And we've covered networking before, but we're going to keep covering it because that is just a mixed bag of positive and negative shit. That's kind of how it goes. Because when you go into networking, it's kind of like being back in high school. You're going to have all different levels of people. You're going to have all different levels of success and failure and desperation and all those things you felt in high school is how I usually feel in networking events anyway. But we got a guy here that's an expert in it, TryBean from TryBean. He's made it clear, not three beans. Not three beans, just one bean, TRY. TryBean. Terry, welcome to Business Uncensored, and Godspeed be with you. Hope you enjoy your journey.
I can hardly wait, man. You've got me scared shitless enough that I think this is going to be plenty interesting, dude. I let him fly, baby. Yeah, the networking. I spent literally 12 years being a networking consultant without ever saying the word networking because, like you said, it's just got this gross connotation to it, man. And so I've made up several different words for the idea of getting better connected to the people around you. And frankly, I'm still doing it. So yeah, let her rip. Let's go.
My favorite horror story, self-horror story. As if anybody's a fan of the show, they know my transition. I wasn't corporate and had to start going to these networking meetings and stuff. I was that douche with a business card, just like buy something, buy something, buy something, buy something, buy something, right? And I didn't understand it's the relationships. It's the meeting before. You show up early and you talk to people before. You stay late and you talk to people after. That little bell ringing, standing up and down stuff, back and forth, going over things in networking groups, that's just pre-functionary so somebody can take your money. The actual networking thing that happens is before and after.
I like the way you described it. It kind of gave me the vibe from when we were in like fourth or fifth grade and they taught us how to square dance in gym class for whatever reason. It's kind of that bell before perfunctory, something you have to do that you may never use the right way again. I think you described that well, man. Thank you for that.
Hey, no problem, because the characters at a networking group are all the same. The one person that's not self-aware, right? The one person that talks too loud, not self-aware, maximizes conversations, won't let anybody do anything. And then you have and I find real estate agents are really bad at this, that I'm a little too good for the room, but I have to take time out of my day to be here. No offense to all my real estate agent friends, but fuck you. Right. And then you have like the good people, and I don't want to disparage them at all, but the blue collar workers that don't know anything about business, but somebody told them to show up, and they show up and they're like, oh no, like, what do? I don't know how to exist in this or whatever. So the characters, like when you're in a lunchroom in high school, are a lot the same in networking groups, because then you have your cliques. You have the same cliques that were there before you got there, and now you have to be the new transfer student and figure out where you fit.
I love that you said this because it just gave me a flashback. You might have seen me almost smirk or giggle when you said characters. In my external hard drive, it's not on this laptop, it might be in a Google Drive folder. I think it is actually, is a treatment and a character list for a TV show that I wanted to write called Bong, Business Opportunity Networking Group, where it follows the different characters who show up at a weekly get-together networking event, because that shit is hilarious to me. And yeah, so bong. I just bong, and there's your bell.
Or bong. I mean, either one, really.
I was high when I came up with the idea, to be fair.
Well, yeah.
So.
Well, if I'm awake, whatever. So if it, but your journey through networking, tell us some things that you can tell people don't do in networking, because we just as I'm going over the characters, the too loud guy, they're people that are really appreciate and do what they're supposed to do. But who do you feel like is the asshole in the room at most networking groups, and use them as an example to tell us how to be a better asshole?
To be a better asshole?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
We are who we are.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. We got to meet people where they are, man. That's
Yeah.
like, lesson one is show up. If you're not
Hmm.
doing that, you're not networking. Lesson two for me is always meet people where they are. I was thinking about this morning. I just did a TEDx talk last night called The Relatability Factor. And so the whole adage is, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. If that's
Hmm.
true, then figure out how to get known, liked, and trusted faster. And the likability piece of know, like, and trust is really easy when you think about, if this guy's being a dick, be a bigger dick. If this guy's being a weirdo, be slightly weirder. If this person's funny, try and keep up, right? Relatability isn't necessarily just holding the mirror up so they see the perfect reflection, but it's so they see enough of them in you that they actually might like you. Now, I know that tirade didn't answer your question one iota, but it was a good tirade.
Well, I was just thinking of bringing nipple clamps to my next meeting, so when that guy gets weird, I can just be like, there you go, and win the weird contest.
That's yeah, you get to fall into two categories, maybe three, right? It's kind of funny. So
Right.
you got the humor. It's like, I'm definitely a dick because I just clamped your nipples, and
Yeah.
it's weird, right? So then someone else is gonna have to show up with like a bear clamp. I mean, you're really
Right.
gonna, the
I,
one-upsmanship is gonna be crazy there.
I want this to escalate to where lube is involved. Is really what I want. So,
Seems like you're taking the easy way out if you're bringing lube, but whatever,
well,
man.
but
You to answer the question though
yeah,
in a more specific way, the people that go around and doing what you were talking about, throwing those cards around, that's bush league stuff, right? You're
yeah.
there to network and connect and build relationships and do long-term planning and thinking, not sell something right now. If it's the 29th of the month and you're at a networking event because you got to hit quota, you're in the wrong room, Jack. Get the hell out. And people can smell it
Oh
and
yeah.
they'll avoid it like crazy. The other things that are annoying is people that spend far more time talking about themselves. And then once they're done looking around for someone else to go tell all about them, that's shitty behavior.
It is, but isn't there a certain amount of arrogance that goes into being in any sort of entrepreneurial self business whatever? How do you feel that you can pitch yourself without talking about yourself? Because you have to have some level of that. I can't just walk up and go, hi, I'm Ryan, listen to everything you say and walk off and be effective. So where is that line of, hey, I'm being an egotistical prick that doesn't shut up about my own face, and actually pitching myself in a respectable manner?
So I love that question. And the answer isn't about what you say, it's about what you ask, right? So when you're building good relationships and you're learning about the other person, which is their favorite topic anyway, so
Right.
let them fucking talk, right? And then once they say something that hits in your wheelhouse, you ask them another question, let them talk a little bit more about it. And then it leads to, damn, man, what if someone could solve that?
That's
That's how
me.
you actually do it, right? Because by that time, they've already sold themselves on needing the fix. And hopefully, you're the guy that pays it off. Or take it even one step better, introduce them to someone, if it's not you, that can do it, man. Be a resource for the people in the room.
I have a friend, one of my best friends in the world, and that's what he wants to be. He wants to be the guy that knows the guy. And he really is. Like, he owns a brewery, small town, owns a brewery, everybody's there, whatever. And if you need a thing, you go to Brian. You go to Brian and go, hey, Brian, I need X, Y, and Z. Like, I broke my nipple clamp by throwing it. Where do I get a new one? He goes, well, Marty down the road, he makes custom, blah, 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 blah. No, he'll get you right in. Let me text him, right? That is, and there is a certain amount of respect I have for him for that, because that's he's built a whole reputation off of being the guy that knows the guy.
That's the game, right? That's the game. Be the person ready and willing to solve people's problems. And you know what they do? They keep coming back for
Right.
more, dude.
And eventually it'll be a problem you can solve and cash in on. But
That,
there's going to be problems you can't solve. and you're going to have to send them on to people, but they'll still start coming to you first instead of doing the research.
And the magic of sending it off to people is eventually a majority of those people are going to be like, oh shit, Ryan hooked me up with this and this and this. I better go out of my way to do something real nice for Ryan. And now their antenna are up going, hey, what's a good opportunity for Ryan? Beep, 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 beep. Oh, I got one. Here you go, mofo. And that's the shit right there. That's what it's about.
Oh yeah, I'm weirdly the tech guy in my town because one, anybody my age doesn't trust anybody younger than me. There's a lot of kids out there that can do it better. Fucking go to them. But I'm someone relatable. I feel like I'm this whisper between. I'm the oldest millennial you'll ever meet at 46. But anyway, I'm the tech whisperer for the older generation and my generation that never got into it. So I have people dropping by my office all day long going, hey, can we, and that's just the reputation I've built through, hey, I can get, this is how you do that, answering things on Facebook. I get tagged in things on Facebook on a daily basis of, oh, Ryan can do that. Ryan can do that. And that's because of networking. That's because that I have proven time and time again that I'm a resource for that. I'm a dick, but I'm not also a resource, which is bigger than the dick part. So people tolerate me. So that seems to work out.
Dick. That's good.
That's right. I'm like a Swiss Army dick. Yes.
Yeah, Swiss. I think I saw that at Lover's Lane, dude. I'm not sure, but it was like they had one that you just push a button and it pops right up.
Bloop, 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 bloop. It's for those networking groups.
Hey, there's another lube reference right there.
See, I have a theme. We'll do a callback at some point.
Yeah, you nailed it with the nipple clamp earlier. I was like,
right,
that's good,
man. Right. So as networking is paramount. Like I said, if you've listened to the show before, you know my story about how I use networking to rise from out of work comedian into an executive, and it was all 1,000% networking. Now you've done public speaking, podcast conventions, stuff like that. And now outside of your traditional BNI, let's go meet at a IHOP and have some coffee at 7:00 in the morning networking group. What are some of the other hidden gems of networking that are out there that maybe people don't understand they're networking while they're doing it?
So I like the idea that if you actually take the approach that I spelled out earlier about putting the other person first, you can network anywhere you are whenever you're there, right? Now it's a 24/7 contact sport because all you're doing is talking to people that are coming into contact with you. And they don't even know you're networking, right? Until you say, bah, here's my card. Hopefully you don't do that. But what you do is you ask them for their contact. Because if you give somebody your card, guess who controls the follow-up? And the answer is not you.
Right.
That's dumb, right? So why do that? So anyway, that's a thing. But I look at PTA meetings. I look at sports events for my kids. I look at even just going to the dang dry cleaner and dropping off business cards that people might see if they're good looking. But even the ability to grab people's cards that put them there can be a form. Hey, I saw you put your card there. Obviously, you're in the area. Let's chat a little bit about how I might be able to be of service to you. That's how it can start. People are dying for people to reach out and help, right? So be somebody that wants to do that. Be your brewery owner in town. Be that guy.
One of the weird ways that it was kind of unexpected is podcasting too. Anybody that knows sponsors, my company sponsors this, whatever this is, and podcast, serialized video, whatever, your fat material, whatever. Anyway, it's that understanding that sometimes doing something like this is just about the networking too, whether it be on LinkedIn, Facebook, stuff like that. Don't be afraid to throw a link out there and like, hey, let's go have a face-to-face. Because like you said, controlling the follow-ups, controlling the whatever, there's nothing like a face-to-face. Me and you exchanged 4 messages before we decided to do this. And now we're going to be best friends for life or until the end of the day. I mean, pick one, really. But yeah, but we've met and we've talked and we have each other as a resource now. So that's been my biggest one, is because when I was doing podcasting, it was for entertainment or to get short form content or to do whatever. And now I've built this extraordinary business just on this, just on pre-interviews, interviews, reaching out. Hey, you want to be in a podcast? Hey, you want to do this? Hey, you want to do that? That was some weird side effect I didn't expect going into it.
I mean, think about it. Hey, I've got this show. A bunch of people watch and listen to it. I'd be honored if you join me as my guest so we can
Yeah,
talk about shit you do and love. Would
yeah,
you be open to that? Who the fuck says no to that question?
right. Or hey, you want to go to a Denny's and listen to me talk about myself, while I try to sell you some shit. I mean, it's really
With
that you got to,
17 other assholes that I see every
yeah,
single week at
right.
7 a.m. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it gives you this broader context of especially national marketing, taking you out of your market, taking you out of your comfort zone. The town I live in is 20 minutes from Lake of the Ozarks, where Ozark was filmed, and it's like 15,000 people. We know each other. We went to school together. We've all pretty much intertwined at some point at the bar. We know, right? We know, and so networking out of your area, any sort of LinkedIn's good to, I think everybody on LinkedIn is willing to, hey, here's a Zoom link, let's go talk for half an hour and call it work. Anybody's willing to do that. The only downside, and which leads me to my next question, is some people you just don't want to fucking network with, right? What are the signs of the people you don't want to network with? Not just because the handing out the cards, the doing that's just kind of bad behavior. But is there any industry, any person, any red flags when somebody says, hey, let's network, that you're going to go, no?
I'm thinking about that because it's a good question, but it's a tough question. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
really run into anybody that I would say no to at first blush.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I get a lot of, like most of us on LinkedIn that has more than 27 followers. I get a lot of spam, and I get a lot of people that want to promote things that I don't care about being promoted. So I don't network with all of them depending on where they are in the world. But if we're talking face to face, like you'd have to be such a gigundous asshole upon first blush for me to say, yeah, I don't want to get to know you better. So I think the answers are people that are very clearly all about them, people that don't understand what networking really means, people that are um, going to just slam me into their email newsletter straight away and then bug me 5 times a week with bullshit that I don't care about. It's a little harder to discern straight up, but you find out pretty quickly. I carry business cards. I take business cards and I put them into 2 different pockets, right? This pocket's the people I'm following up with. This pocket goes into the circular container. I have enough business cards in my house to wallpaper a floor, right? So I'm not trying to find more cards. I'm not trying to find more contacts. I'm trying to find people that I want to engage with and do something with. And if that's not the case, then that's cool. I generally make 3 piles, by the way. One that I might do something with, one that I will do something with, and one that doesn't stay in the house.
One of the things, it's a little bit of a tirade, so I want to have this discussion too, is that I don't have business cards anymore.
No,
That is
really.
that is one thing that I got away from, is business card, because you brought up earlier the contextual, hey, give me your info. There's so many technological ways to actually do that now, that I think business cards are something that I haven't done. Like my company that I went from to this one would buy me business cards, and I think I still have 4 boxes of them back there that I never opened. When you come to that exchange of information, when you're like, hey, let's hook up, let's see each other, let's do whatever, what is your preferred technological way of exchanging that information?
Dude, LinkedIn used to have this coolest shit, right? You could do who's nearby and you could turn
Hmm.
on a thing and boom, it was so
Yeah.
awesome. Way to go, LinkedIn. Nice job taking that away, jerks. Um,
Right.
you know what? Honestly, and it's funny because I just did this exchange this morning. Somebody posted about a guy, and I'd seen his name 6 times. I sent him a LinkedIn invite. He connected with me within like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Hey, great to connect. Blah blah blah. And I responded, "Thank you. Here's my phone number. Here's my email." And he instantly, shortly thereafter, I don't know about instantly, but shortly thereafter, sent me his V card, like in his contact info on
Yeah.
his phone via text. I accepted that. I replied with mine, and no trees were harmed in this exchange.
My favorite way I learned, I was at Podfest earlier this year, and I've since used it since then. One of my favorite ways to do it, because I feel that this garners some sort of goodwill, this garners friendship, all of that stuff. Take a selfie with the person
Yeah.
and then text that selfie to the person. Right. So if I met you at a convention, I wanted to follow up and talk to you, I'm going to be like, hey, man, let's take a picture. So me and TryBean, we take a picture. Right. And then I text you that picture of me with Ryan and TryBean under it. I hit send and I go on about my life. Then that night, I know I have your number. I know what you look like. I have a memory reference. It's not like, because when you do conventions and you do public speaking, sometimes you'll meet 1,000 people in a day. And I'm not even joking. You understand this, that it can be hundreds of people you meet a day. So taking that selfie, typing that on there, and texting that to the other person kind of gives you all that relevant information to remember and recall that person.
That's awesome. So what's your hand pose? We're gonna do a selfie. What pose are you striking? I want to know.
No, right? No, usually it's this. Usually it's the peace sign.
Yeah.
That's pretty widely accepted, and being okay is just be like, "Hi, what's
Yeah,
up?"
right
You
on.
know?
Yeah, you can't do this anymore, evidently. So
No, I
okay,
don't know why. I mean, below the waist, you got hit twice. I
right.
don't. Now it's domestic violence or something. I don't fucking know.
I plug that shit, dude, every
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah. We played that all the time growing up, and now politics ruins everything. Uh,
Too funny. Nice.
right. Uh, so let's talk a little bit. Let me find my notes because I moved away from it here because I'm a bad human being.
No,
Um,
dude, you notes.
yeah, I have notes. So in your speaking career, we're at 22 minutes. We usually go about 30. So I want to cover, because I got to be a public speaker for a lot of my life.
Nice.
Half of that was I was a stand-up comedian, and the other half I was doing boring internet lecture or boring insurance lectures, like for insurance marketing, big I trusted choice.
Yeah.
One of the big fears that I had is when I was up on stage doing comedy, I could say whatever the fuck I wanted to say, and other than a couple hecklers, you couldn't really challenge me because I'm telling a story. When you're a public speaker, you can be right or wrong. When you're talking about marketing, when you're talking about business, when you're talking, there's a high likelihood that you're going to be wrong about something. And that was always my fear transitioning between the two. As a public speaker, you mentioned TED Talk. What are some of the fears you go through on stage?
I don't have a lot of fears, man. So I'm not necessarily the right guy to ask that. I'll tell you an embarrassing story that you'll appreciate, though. This would have scared other people, maybe. Several years ago, I was speaking at a chamber of commerce, about 85 to 100 people in the room, and I wasn't wearing my glasses. You may have noticed that when we popped on here, I was wearing
Yeah.
glasses, and now all of a sudden, where'd they go? Um, so I didn't have my glasses on. I'm rip roaring. We're 35 minutes. That's cool, dude. Right on. Right on. And so we get about 35 minutes in this talk about relationship building and marketing. And I see someone in the back. It's a bunch of eight tops in the whatever country club dining room. And this lady's holding up a note, and I can't read the note. And now I'm talking, and now I'm thinking about the note, and I'm still talking, but now I'm thinking about it more about the note. So I start walking toward the note, and I'm still talking, and I finally can read it, and I start busting a nut because it was some funny shit. I turn around, I keep talking, I zip up my pants, I walk to where I was standing originally, And now I got to break the fourth wall and be like, so I know all of you just witnessed that whole situation. I couldn't read the very kind note that this lovely lady was holding that said, zip your zipper. I was
Were
like,
you wearing underwear?
yeah, it was
Oh,
nothing was
man.
flopping. It worked out. To my dismay. Yeah, it was cool. It was a good time. But as far as what freaks you out, I'm one of those speakers that I don't really practice much. I'm a conduit, man. I
Yeah,
just
right.
channel information. So there's nothing for me to like rehearse. And when you rehearse, you worry about fucking up. But
Mhm.
I don't know what I'm gonna say, so I can't possibly fuck it up. Easy.
The it's really weird. The entire time I was doing stand up, it wasn't so much fear. It was about, and this will lead into another question, I promise. It was about how well you own the audience, how well the audience reacts to you and does to you. So what I mentioned, I was at Podfest. The video of this exists. I promise one day I'll put this out. They had an open mic night.
Nice.
And I'm a ringer, right? I've done this. I've done comedy for a while. So I decide to roast podcasting and everyone in podcasting. And I make sure that I can curse and I make sure that I can do whatever. And I walk up on stage and I'm like, how are you entitled motherfuckers doing? I'm like, there's no other group of people that I've never found that likes the sound of their own voice more than you pricks. And I just went into there. I'm like, how are you introverts even out here? And I'm like, and I just start degrading. I'm like, hey, look, if this lady with a lisp and no personality can do a podcast, anybody can do a podcast. Like, I just literally dug deep. And man, I got so that I would not have the business I have today if I hadn't done that. But
That's
I
amazing.
was scared shitless walking up on that stage because if that went wrong, I would be out of business. This was like 3 months in business. I go to this thing. And now people and I've lost a bunch of weight since then, but everybody called me Fat Conor McGregor. So literally I'm in like 1,000 people's phone. It's Fat Conor McGregor. And I still get, leads and stuff from that thing. But I've always had a fear of public speaking. I've never liked doing it, but it's one of those things I do while I'm afraid anyway.
I love that. That dude, that's growth. That's the whole fucking thing. That's show up at its finest, right? I don't want to do this. Okay, well, fuck you. Go do it. All right, I'll do it.
Well, it's easy to hide behind a camera on this and to do that and go, I public. No, it's different when, and here comes the question. It's different when you get up on stage in front of people that you have to look them in the eye while you talk. Right? That's a little bit different story. So coming from stand-up comedy to doing a ton of insurance convention, those pricks have no sense of humor. It's what is the worst audience reactions other than no reaction, because we get that a lot as public speakers in business. What are some of the worst audience reactions that you've had during your speaking?
Last night I debuted this brand new talk, right? Never seen the
Mm-hmm.
light of day, hadn't been outside of my little room. And it was to a group, it was a youth group. So it was a bunch of young kids, high school kids. And I
Yeah.
was like, all right, that's cool. We'll try it out, right? Should be universal. And to your point, the lights were real bright, so I couldn't see
Yeah.
anybody. So all I could go for feedback was sound, right? And I had billed myself as an inspiredutaining speaker, which has the word entertain in the motherfucker. So
Yes.
you better bring something that's funny. And so, I know that crickets is no sound and no reaction, but that to me is almost scary and certainly the most annoying. I don't like when jokes that you think are funny aren't, and it's confirmed by a room full of people that
Yes.
it wasn't funny. I don't like when people don't know it's okay to laugh, though, too. And so the bar for comedy in business is exceedingly low, right?
It's
If you got
rough.
any jokes, you're funny as hell.
Right.
And so I'm hilarious in a business presentation. And my speaking partner, who I started doing this shit with 16 years ago, just started doing stand up about 6 months ago. He's a former rock star. And then moved into marketing like
Mhm.
yourself and did that for a number of years, still does. And then we started doing public speaking back in launch TEDx Detroit back in the 2007-8 time frame, and been doing all that stuff since. but he just started taking the stage. He was in the Boston World Series of comedy. He's doing really well, man. I'm happy for him. I haven't seen him perform a set yet, so I got to go check that out. I'm a shitty friend. That's all you need.
Well, good. Now that we've understand, I'm a dick and you're a shitty friend. This relationship will be fine.
That's it. Yeah, no expectations, motherfucker.
No expectations.
No.
None. I remember like the first insurance conference I did, there was like 600 people. Like this was one of the bigger ones or whatever. And I crawl up on that stage and I say stuff that I don't even think is funny. And people laughed. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how that was funny, but the bar is low. But you got to understand, it's like a limbo bar that far off the ground. Because if you go over a certain level, they just stare at you like you shit on the stage. That I found that out too. I thought it'd be fun to curse at one of these. Not like I curse here, but at least go, I don't know what the hell that is. And that's some shit we'll deal with later. And I went, that's some shit we'll deal with later. And I heard, I'm like, I'm not in a church. This is insurance. I'm like, I've been to the after parties, right? Yeah. Caligula would be proud. Fuck off. I can say shit.
I saw that movie when I was in fraternity, man. I'm still fucked up over that thing.
Right. But if you've ever been to an insurance convention, those boring motherfuckers know how to party. I'm just going to tell you that. And I'm still taking antibiotics. So it's, it is.
What? Oh, all right.
What? All right. Well, Terry, that's kind of wrapped up on our time. I hope I didn't scare you too bad. It wasn't, it wasn't whatever. What I want you to do is take a couple minutes, tell us about TryBean, tell us what you do, get your plug in here, and tell us a little bit about your business. And anybody that wants to continue talking to Terry, he's going to give you some information on how to reach out to him.
Yeah, I love that, man. I help people build relationships with their ideal audience in a way that their messaging dots them between the eyes, their vibe attracts them to them, and you get to show up and relate to people at a level that you never have before. I do that a couple of different ways. I'm an intuitive coach, so my gut is strong. I told you I'm a conduit as a speaker, so I'm really, really deeply connected and can help you get better connected as well. And then I've got this behavioral elements assessment where the outputs are fire, water, earth, and air. All things that you can see in an individual or hear in an individual, whether you're reading their profiles or talking to them in person, so you can adjust your message right now with them. That's who I am, man.
And how do we get a hold of you?
TryBean.com. TryBean.com, or find me on LinkedIn. I'm the Terry Bean in Detroit. I've got a few connections. Maybe you'll know some of them too.
Tell me how some food company doesn't have TryBean.com. How did you get that?
I wouldn't say it was at the beginning of the internet, but it was 15, 16 years ago. So I wonder if I could sell that thing. I had Networked Inc. for a long time, and that was a great everything. My magnet logo was so sweet, like an N, but I got so sick of saying TBean at networkedinc.com that I'm like, fuck it, I need a new business name.
I need to shorten this.
It's like, I'm not saying that again, because you have to spell it 4 times. I'm not spelling things 4 times.
All right, time for my spiel. My name is Ryan Shear. I'm the director of operations at Titan Media Works. We practice all things podcast, serialized video marketing. I was kind of a big shot at one point in the marketing industry, so we've taken that into video because we understand how much video marketing is a part of what your marketing profile should have. Now, we take all the guesswork out of it. You can have as much guesswork as you want, but any that you want to give to us, we'll do it to where you can just stand up or sit down in front of a mic, say your things, send it to us. We make a really nicely produced podcast out of it. We do over 20 shows right now. We do local, we do serialized video, we do all of that stuff. So if you are interested in having your own podcast, serialized video, viral content, all of that stuff, get a hold of us at titanmediaworks.com. Work is WORX, because if you go to WORKS, it's a gay stripper site. I don't know why, but we had to change it to an X. And I'm not kidding, so Google that at your own peril, or joy, either one. I don't judge. But titanmediaworks.com, Ryan Shear on LinkedIn. It's one syllable. My family just didn't know how to pronounce it apparently. So now I'm a Shear. But anyway, that's all the time we have. Thank you, Terry, for coming out and hanging out with me. I know it was short notice, but man, I had a great time. Thanks for all your all your intellect about networking and stuff. So,
there's the lube callback right there.
Boom! See, I told you I would bring it back. Told you. I am a master at this shit. Bye, guys.